forecast today?
Today's forecast, a lot of sunshine, blue skies, marine clouds. Just a perfect day to go outside and relax. That's your forecast. We'll be right back.
Yeah, sunny days, sunny days, sunny days. No clouds in the sky, but I get away. Feels like it's been...
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Contracts and Cocktails. I'm Carolyn Smith.
And I'm Kellie Bowling. We're with the Coastal Estate Team.
Yeah. We are going to talk today about the new condo law that many of you have heard about, and a lot of you actually have not heard about. But if you live in a condo,
You've definitely heard about it.
You've heard about it. It's SB 4D, Senate Bill 4D. And what it basically was passed for was about the Surfside tragedy, where the condo had deferred maintenance, is what they think, deferred maintenance. And that deferred maintenance eventually created the situation where the condo collapsed and killed a lot of people.
Yes.
And so in Florida, we have a lot of older condos. And Florida has had a law in the books that condos were allowed to not do studies, structural studies. They didn't have to do them. There was no requirement. Miami-Dade a long time ago instituted a requirement, but most of Florida did not have a requirement to do any type of structural study. So nobody really knew what needed to be done. Some condos had reserve schedules that may or may not have been accurate, saying this is what we're going to have to pay in 10 years or 20 years when these things run out. Some of them did not have reserves or reserve schedules. Condos were allowed to waive reserves, so the owners could say, well, you know what, I really don't want to pay an extra $100 a month into my monthly dues to be saving for these future things. We're just going to waive reserves.
Yeah, and then we'll worry about that when it happens.
Mm-hmm. We'll worry about it when it happens and have to pay a big assessment. And so a lot of older condos have had large assessments. We've seen $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 assessments. This is per unit.
Yes.
Per unit.
Do you have an extra $80,000 just sitting around waiting for a rainy day? I do not.
I do not. And so we have seen that, but it's, they're few and far between. But this law addresses that by saying, guess what? You have to do a structural integrity reserve study. It has to include these items. It has to be done by a licensed engineer or architect.
I mean, the cost of the study is also not cheap. So you got to have the money set aside for that.
No. And you're not going to find some lowly engineer or architect who's just going to sign off, because they are risking everything. So
their licensing.
They're risking their licensing. They could be sued. What if they say something's okay and it's not? So the law, there's a lot of articles about the law. One of the interesting things, so it has to be 3 stories or taller. So a 2-story building is not subject to this. Has to be within 3 miles of a coastline. And I think it's by 2025, they have to have done the study, the initial study, and have the reserves in place. So what are we seeing in people who are now condos that are being proactive? We're seeing big assessments.
Yes.
On these older condos, and we're seeing their reserve or their monthly maintenance to fund future reserves going way up.
Yes. So
like Jamestown condos here is an example where now their monthly is like $740 a month. We're talking about a condo that's like $200,000.
Right. Well, there's that one I just showed in Satellite Beach, and those were like over $800 a month. It's an older condo, and they're trying to beef up their reserves to, I guess, get preparing for this,
Yeah, they're still going to have an assessment.
Oh, for sure.
Jamestown still knows they're having an assessment. And now they're only 2 stories, so I don't think they actually are required to do it. But the one you showed, I think, was 3
some of
story.
those are 3.
Mm-hmm. And then they have to do this every 10 years. And the law, I think there'll be some changes to it because it talks about structural things, includes windows. Most condos
will say that that's the owner's responsibility, but now.
So if the law goes, then the condo's going to have to go to the owner and say, you're required to replace the windows, or what? We'll do it for you or something in order to meet.
You're going to get assessed. Nothing's free.
Nothing's free.
You're going to be paying for it.
So we expect to see some significant movement, sales starting to occur in these older condos where they have these large assessments.
Because a lot of people just aren't going to be able to afford that, the cost of the monthly fees with the, additional assessments and all of that. They just it's not in the budget.
Right. But I personally feel that the law's good.
Oh, for sure.
I am very much a reserve person. Like, I take people out to look at condos. I'm like, here's, my degree's in finance. Let's get the reserve schedule. What if there isn't one? Let's look and see, does it make sense? Are you going to replace the condo roof in 10 years, assuming it would last 10 years, for $80,000? No.
Right.
No, that's not going to happen. These concrete restoration projects
That
are
are
millions of
expensive.
dollars,
Yeah.
and they'll have $100,000 in there for concrete restoration. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is good because people will know what it really
Costs.
what
The
it really
actual
costs.
costs. Yeah.
If I'm
What do you
gonna
think
live
it'll
at
do
home.
to like condo loans? Do you think it'll help improve the process and streamline it a little bit because they'll have to have all of these reserves built up and their budgets are going to have to be healthy?
I think, yeah, maybe long term in a few
Yeah.
years, because right now what's happened is, what are we seeing? We're seeing insurance for condos has become incredibly difficult
It's
to obtain
expensive,
and
yeah.
very expensive. So the insurers kind of don't want to insure condos. So a lot of people are having to go to Citizens, which, if you're not familiar with Citizens, is Florida's insurer of last resort,
Right.
by the state. So Citizens has to insure the condos, but their rates have gone way up.
Yeah, they have.
So it's gotten more expensive. So I think, I do think, yeah, that the lenders probably in time, this will help where the lender won't be worried about, putting forward the money to loan on a
Maybe
condo.
it'll help with the insurance too at some
Yeah.
point down the road.
Yeah, you would think so. Certainly you're going to feel safer living in the condo,
Definitely.
and you're going to know that you're not hopefully going to be having, all these assessments are a result of people for years and years and years not paying the appropriate when you own a home,
Yes.
when you own a home and my roof has probably got a few more years on it. I'm going to have to replace my roof in a few years. Hopefully you've been putting away money the whole time you've owned the home. So when the time comes, you have the money set aside, right, to pay for your roof or pay for
Right.
the painting or a new AC or whatever it is you need. You've put away money. That's really what the maintenance dues are made up of. Two parts on a condo. They're made up of maintenance, which is your annual things you're paying for, lawn maintenance and pool maintenance and things like that,
Right.
and reserves to fund future
Right. Like parking lot
Yeah.
paving or
or painting
Just
the
painting,
building.
yeah.
Things that have to be done to long-term maintenance projects on the condo itself. And what happens is, when you only fund the annual stuff, I'm only taking care of the pool guy and the lawn guy and all these other people, and I'm not putting away money. Somebody's got to pay the piper,
oh, for sure.
Somebody's got to pay. And so what happens is, if I sold it, the poor unfortunate buyer who didn't pay attention to that and maybe didn't know that, well, in a couple of years, all these things are going to be coming due, and I'm going to get hit with the assessment from
Right.
years and years and years of nobody putting away the money.
Yeah.
I've always thought that's terrible for
It is.
people to get
I think
in that
a lot
situation.
of people get blinded by, look at this gorgeous view. I'm going to get to wake up to the ocean every day, on this high floor, so it's unobstructed, and it's no maintenance because
Right.
somebody else is taking care of that. Well,
Right.
you're doing it, you're
Right.
paying for it.
Right.
So they get blinded by that, I feel.
Yeah. And there is an economy usually to living in a condo because you have all these people
course.
contributing. So overall, if you lay out all your costs, your cable bill and your water bill and your lawn maintenance and your pool maintenance and all the things, you actually save money on a monthly basis if you're putting away the same amount for a house,
Right.
if they're reserving properly. So the new condos usually are set up with really good reserve schedules.
Yes.
They fund at 100% right from the beginning. They have a full reserve schedule. They have a really complete budget. So the newer condos don't tend to have that issue.
Right.
But you're going to pay more for a newer condo.
That's true.
One of the things is you're not going to have a big assessment hit.
Yes, that is true.
A few years after moving in. But I just sold a condo and there was a $50,000 assessment. The seller had to pay it
Yeah.
in order for the buyer to move forward. So
Yeah, and that can, dip into your proceeds for sure.
Yeah. So I think that you want to talk about what the
we've got a
Association of
new-
Realtors has done.
Yeah, we've got a new condo rider that mentions these, milestone inspection reports and the structural integrity reserve studies. And that's on the last page of the condo rider now. So those have been integrated into it just to kind of make you aware. The buyer gets to receive from the seller, at the seller's expense, a copy of the governance form, which summarizes the governance of condominium associations through the DBPR. And they also have to get, before the sale of the property, a copy of that milestone inspection summary report. They also have to get from the seller at the expense of the seller before the sale of the property a copy of the association's most recent structural integrity reserve study or a statement that they have not done it yet. So they need to have that. And if you've purchased a condo, especially if you've bought one that you financed, usually the condo questionnaire comes at a cost to the buyer. So the buyer's lender will get that. The buyer has to pay for it. It can be hundreds of dollars. So the fact that these have to be paid for by the seller, I think that's great.
Yes.
That they have to furnish that to the buyer.
Yes, and I'm glad that they laid out that the buyer's entitled to these. So a lot of condos have not done the structural because they have till 2025, I think, to get it straight.
Right.
So they have a little bit of time.
Right.
But, you know, and it also, this is good because it just, if the buyer reads, hopefully the buyer reads the documents they're signing.
I hope so.
I don't know if they do, but hopefully they read it. But then they can ask the question, what is a structural integrity reserve study? Why don't they have it? How does that impact me?
When are they planning to do it?
Yeah.
Have they even discussed it? So then you delve into the meeting minutes and all of that.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Meeting minutes are super important. They tell you a lot. The reserve study is, a lot of people, agents, do not necessarily ask for a reserve schedule. I have had agents ask me when I ask for a reserve schedule, they are the listing agent on a condo.
And they'll say, what's that?
What's a reserve schedule? What's a reserve schedule?
You really have to know what you're getting into. And that, same thing, if you're on the board for a condo, let's say you live in one. I have a client right now that she lives in a condo, she's on the board, and she said that she was paying attention when this law was passed, and she's done so much research. So to try to get her association up to par and prepare for that, because that's gonna, the people that are living in her association cannot afford to have $100,000 assessment or more or whatever. So they all are trying to keep their costs minimum, and their monthly fees right now are like low 200s.
So there you go. It's probably going to go up.
Yeah.
And the one thing to know, if you do live in an older condo, there are ways, or there have been ways in the past for the boards to finance the assessments for people, so that when you're in a condo that does not, where a lot of people cannot pay that, they'll have options. Like, you can pay it all at once. You can pay it over 4 payments, or you can finance. They'll have some sort of bond they issue or something where you can finance the payment. It places a lien on the unit. So it can be financed over time. I don't know. I mean, that's a bank question, really, on will the banks continue to loan money to these condos? Because I think they're going to have to.
Yeah. Otherwise, what will happen to the condo, right?
Yeah.
Everybody just kind of bail out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there might be some good pricing on some of these older condos coming up. We are seeing that on some of them. So I think coming up over the next couple of years, just something, if you're an investor or you're looking for something, a condo, I'm not saying to wait. I'm just saying, and know that you'll have to pay those assessments. Be aware.
Yeah.
The assessment won't go away because you bought it.
Right. A good deal might not actually be a good deal by the time you look at all the numbers, right?
And I do have some condo buyers who are only looking at new condos now because of this. They want a condo with full reserves. They want a condo that they're not going to have to worry about these things. So they're looking for newer condos, which are a higher price point, but they feel more secure knowing that that's done. So I think this is good. The Florida Association of Realtors addressing it, the legislature addressing this problem that has existed for a long time, that we have seen for a long time, where we're like, who's taking care of these old condos? We have that old condo in Melbourne Beach that basically got condemned.
Well, it was condemned after one of our storms for a long time. So there were a couple fire sales that happened during that time, and then they just were able to move back in, a few months ago.
Yeah.
And,
They had to rebuild the condo, basically.
I don't want to be in that building because I just don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens to them. That's going to be interesting.
We're a little nervous about that building, but, because it went so far. It went so far to say, hey, it's not structurally sound.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a structural integrity reserve study if they haven't had one.
With that.
Because that building's frame. It's interesting to have a frame structure on that.
I didn't realize that. I wasn't here when it was built. Oh, my goodness.
It's not a block building.
Wow.
Yeah.
That explains a lot. Yeah. Interesting.
It's got metal rebar and frame, so.
Fun.
Yeah, one of the few. Most condos are concrete. Block or whatever. Yeah, that's
at least the ones on the ocean for sure.
And speaking of which, did you see we're getting a new? I think it's a Westin next to the Crown Plaza.
Is that what it's going to be?
I think it's going to be a Westin. So what's really interesting to me is, we're a small town, kind of. We don't have huge buildings usually going up.
Right.
And so they're putting up this new oceanfront hotel, and they must have brought in crews from I don't know,
everywhere.
everywhere.
It's going up so fast.
That thing, there's like, I mean, it's like you drive by, you're like, what? It's like ants. There's so many workers on that building, and they have the biggest crane. Like that crane, we don't see, like when you go to Miami or something, you see those
Right.
gigantic cranes.
Yes.
That's like one of those cranes.
Yeah.
Lifting the stuff up. I'm like, wow, that's huge crane.
Right.
And an unnamed hotel, which I won't talk about, that's kind of catty corner across the street, not on the ocean, that's being built at the same time. I'm like, that's the normal Melbourne speed.
Right.
Like you drive by and there's no one there. There's one truck there. There's like, it's super slow.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm
so
like,
true.
whoever came in to do this, I think it's a Weston,
I think so.
this new oceanfront. But whoever came in to do this, I'm like, is that the new wave of the future? We're going to have these like really like skilled construction crews. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it is neat to watch it. Yeah.
It's going up
It
so
goes really-
fast.
really
we should take
quickly.
some like time lapse pictures.
Just go by every day. It's
We
going
should
to
have
be like
Alex
a time
take
lapse.
some time lapse pictures. Coastal luxury image, yeah. Taking time lapse pictures of the hotels. Okay. Do we have anything else?
I think that's it for
Yeah,
today.
yeah. We thought we'd talk about real estate for once, so we hope you enjoyed it. And tune in next time. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you call us if you have any questions or want to list or buy a home. 321-422-2160, or you can email us at hello@coastalestateteam.com.
All right. That's
All right, that's it.
See you
See you
next
next time. Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Sunny days, no clouds.